clear do I sound?
Oh, you sound so good at the start right away. I was like, oh man, he's coming in hot.
His voice is beautiful.
Gorgeous again. I can hear you.
Having internet back is so wonderful.
It's an addiction, Steven. it's
having a cell phone definitely mitigated that
of course,
complete disconnect, obviously. Yeah. I was even able to use my hotspot to like spot my Switch to play, like update my Switch and things like that.
Get it, you're Tony Stark, Steven.
Who would be my I can't think of his name right now. Vision. What's Vision's name before Jarvis?
Oh, Jarvis.
Who would be my Jarvis though?
It's just a me. Steven.
I was gonna say, I know you met you, but Chris Pratt is my Jarvis. He's just everybody's Jarvis. Like no one asked for it. He's just their Jarvis.
I'm Jarvis. No, it's
yeah.
I mean,
hey, it's me again.
It's me again. You know my
30,000th by now.
Yeah.
Oh, come on. I can't do him.
I was lovable in Parks and Rec. Remember? Yeah, I was really rooting for Chris Pratt. I was like happy for him and proud. I was like, man, look at this guy. He's in Marvel movies now. This is awesome. This guy's so cool. And then they're just like, you know what we're going to do? Give you Chris Pratt fatigue and just throw him in your life.
Which isn't even, it's not even his fault, man. Because if I was Chris Pratt, I would definitely be in Jurassic Park. Right. I would definitely be Mario. If they offered me Zelda, I'm taking Zelda too. Like, there's no way I'm not taking all these.
The Lego movie was awesome. You don't think I want to be in Lego? Of course. Of
course I want to be. It's not his fault. It's Hollywood's fault. Let's blame Hollywood.
100%. Yeah. I mean, it's his fault for just being awful. No, I'm kidding. I don't really understand. But there's a random hair in my room. It's driving me crazy. Okay, dude. But it must be so cool to have freaking internet back. I mean,
oh, dude, it's wonderful.
The girls
falling asleep to the sweet tones of the. Oh, dude, it's wonderful.
Good. It's so good.
I could have just bought a CD, but
I mean, no. I have my sleep shows. Like I have the same like 3 or 4 sleep shows that I go through. I'm like, I need these shows. I've tried to mix it up. I've been like, okay, I'll tell you one mistake I made. I made the dumbest mistake. Like I put on, and like you'd think like I know better. I'm not gonna put on an action movie or anything that's going to be like sudden bullet fire craziness in the middle of the night when I'm sleeping and I'm like, like just in case. But the thing I didn't count on, Steven, was that my brain doesn't care about gunshots and that kind of thing. I think I am privileged enough to not have to worry about those things. The thing that my body hears is just the utter like cringy anxiety of people going through stress and like, okay, I put on the show. I Think You Should Leave. Have you seen that show?
I have not.
So there's a sketch show on Netflix called I Think You Should Leave, and it is hilarious. It is really funny. It's so uncomfortable. It's like Ben Stiller like turned up to 11, like just like the most uncomfortable moments. And this guy just like, he is perfect at creating these characters and putting them into the perfect terrible moments for himself. And it's just so hilarious and so funny. But what happens is you feel it the whole time. It's just like, oh god,
you're just literally cringing.
Yes. So and I put that on and I was just like going to sleep, and I can just hear this guy escalating his anxiety just like slightly as it's going. And I'm trying to sleep, and I'm just like, I need him to get a table at this restaurant or whatever. Like I'm just like this has to stop, and it just doesn't, and it just keeps getting worse, and he keeps burying himself. And I was like, I literally got to the point where I was like, New Girl it is, or like Bob's Burgers.
Just something that's I'm used to, please.
Oh yeah,
dude. That just made me think of this like quick story. One time I ordered ahead a Publix sub, okay, and I love them. They're great. You order ahead. You don't even have to wait in that long deli line. Yeah. So I get there and I see my sub being made by the guy, but it is an online order. Okay. So I see it being made, right? Somebody walks up. So I'm like, he puts my sub aside. He goes, okay, you. All right. So he starts making their sub. I'm like, okay, that's fine. I'm not going to get in line yet, because why would I get in line? I ordered online. I just got to pick it up at the station once it's done. Yeah. So like, 8 people later. No, basically though. So basically what happened was this.
He's taking lettuce off of your sub to give to the other people.
I was like, and I was even like doing like sub math in my head, because what happened was there was 3 of them. Okay.
Yeah.
There was sliced bread / put meat on guy.
Right.
Then there was produce girl. And then there was guy who wraps sub and puts the sticker on it. They had like a little chain going on.
I'm just gonna say the best / worst Captain Planet group going on here. We're just like
meat.
When your powers combined,
sticker.
I am Pubs Up.
Captain Pubs. But anyways, so what was happening was meat and cheese guy, the guy that had started my sub, he was lightning fast. This dude was pumping meat and cheese like it was nobody's business. All right. Pumping his meat, slapping the cheese, you know. But he would shove it down to produce lady, and produce lady was not fast. Produce lady was super slow. So that snag on produce lady, literally, dude, I waited another 32 minutes for my sub. I just watched my sub just sit there waiting to get made. And that, like, dude, the show you're telling me about, like, all the things that were happening to me, like watching other people pile into the line, like I feel like that's like what you're telling me that show feels
exactly
like.
The kind of thing. And it's just like yeah, and like Anthony, I'm trying to go to sleep, and all I can think is just like, I need this man to have his sub. Like, this is too much. This is too much. Give the man his sandwich. Like, at some point, you just grab someone else's sandwich and be like, this is mine. This is mine.
Oh yeah, one guy asked for boar's head, so he had to go slice the roast beef fresh. Like, dude, it was like, seriously, like, it was so many things happening, and I was like so mad.
The funniest, like, I love the idea that like you could have walked up there, just ordered your sandwich, and left without paying, and just been like, look, I ordered it online.
Yeah, I paid for it.
My sandwich. Like, you get in front of your own online order sandwich and just oh man.
Oh man. It was horrible. Funny. It was awful.
Yeah, no, it must be cool to have like something to fall asleep to that isn't Dragon Ball Z again. You know, like,
which isn't the most pleasant show to fall asleep to, you know? I mean, not that I love that show, but like and then just Krillin's voice. I mean, it's a lot. It's a lot to deal with.
A lot. Dude. Yeah, it's funny. Like, anytime, like tonight, I'll probably have to do it, depending on the internet and how it works. But like when I upload our episodes, it just throttled my internet historically, and I'd put a DVD in, and the thing that I totally forgot about was DVD menus and how awful and repetitive they are. And if you put on the wrong movie, it's just like, it's garbage, just like the worst. Whoever discovered that they could do that and just loop the same 15 seconds of obnoxious audio and then like add the loudest music on top of it, or like, you know, behind it, is just
Chasing genius. Amy is it Chasing Amy? Correct me if I'm wrong, but is this not the DVD menu for Chasing Amy? Yeah. I fell asleep to Chasing Amy many a night.
Yeah, that one's one of the better ones. That's one of the ones that I could put on and be like, oh, this isn't gonna kill me. Yeah. Some of the other ones though, like Dogma was really bad. There are a bunch of really bad ones. Oh, okay. What are we doing? Episode 118, Steven. We're doing this. Let's see. What do we have to talk about? A bunch of stuff. All right. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
I'm gonna do this thing to start off with. Hello! Welcome to episode 118 of We Have Issues. I'm Anthony.
And I am Stevie Wildcard, back with my full setup.
This is episode 1 of We No Longer Talk About CenturyLink. CenturyLink is behind us. We don't care about them anymore. So every week, Stevie Wildcard and I get together and we do our best to overcome our various obstacles and issues and try to get something done. We've been trying to make comic books together since we met, basically. And, you know, in high school, we were trying to make comic books together. Failed for a long time. Finally got something made, which was a very personal book. And Steven, lately we've been working on this new series. We're starting on issue 2 of our new supernatural action comedy horror book called Deathless. What'd you do this week? What'd you want to do?
So I wanted to do a lot, but I did get I think I would say I'm about, with the inks, I'm about like 90% done with the cover.
Previously on We Have Issues. I'm gonna finish this whole thing. Can't wait. This issue 2 is done, baby. This week is our week. Our week.
It wasn't though.
It wasn't.
Ron Howard. It wasn't. So, but the cover, which, dude, I think the cover is some of my tightest ink so far,
Yeah.
which is pretty cool. Like, it's just cool seeing the evolution from even page one of Deathless. But yeah, so I have about like 80 to 90% of the cover done, and then I've already started roughing page one. I got the establishing shot roughed. So yeah, I'm pushing forward on that. So I didn't complete, I definitely failed, but I'm back on track. I'm back with full setups. I have internet again. I can do stuff again. So I'm back online fully. So it's good.
Yes. I wanted to get at least 3 pages done. I'd say I only got 2 pages done. I got kind of stuck. I wanted to talk about this later. I was talking about it a little now. I got kind of stuck in this part, Steven, because I was like, when you're writing like a series, I kind of, how do I say this? Okay, so the part we're writing now, issue 2, there's a battle going on. There's a minor antagonist, fight happening, and there has to be some dialogue and character development, and some stuff happens. And it's really hard to not just throw all of my eggs in this one fight basket. Like it's like dialogue wise, the character, I'm like, he would already say these things, I think, but I'm like, crap, what am I gonna have him say later on to the bigger bads? If he's already here. So like I was going through this and I was like, well, I can't do that. I can't do it. Like, what am I gonna do if I have him do this and have these realizations now, then he can't do that later. What am I gonna do later? And I started kind of like spiraling a little. And then anytime I do that, I find myself just like immediately running from the page. Like I'll be sitting there, I'm just like, oh, so my phone anyway. Yeah. And I just like do anything else.
It's the same with artwork. Like when you get locked, like when I get locked up on like a perspective or something like that, and I just go, yeah, I'm just gonna do everything but the art right now because there's no way I can figure it out.
Yeah, dude. So like I just felt caged in. I was just like trapped. But I got to a point where I literally had to like go back to my roots, and I was like, I went straight to like Dan Harmon's school of like prove you're a bad writer and just like get through it. And what I started doing was, instead of actually writing the dialogue, I was writing like very on the nose, like kind of meta commentary of what they meant to say, where I'm just like, like I would have Douglas be like, I'm not afraid of you anymore. And like, like I'm trying to tell you that I'm not scared of this moment, and like random stuff like that. And I'd have, like Brian, who's like the bad in this moment. He's kind of like, he's basically just like, I'm unstoppable and undefeatable, and there's nothing you can do. You don't know how strong I am, and like, just like, I'm tough and I'm not afraid to show it, and just like dumb, like dialogue. But like what that did was it shook me out of that like, uncomfortable, like I can't do it place, and got me into the, wait, that's garbage, I can fix it place. It's like it's
like you basically roughed it out.
Yeah.
Like you put the skeleton down.
Yeah, because like I can fix my crap writing. If I see the bad writing, I'm like, oh wait, I know how to fix that. But if there's nothing on the page and I sit there and just want it to be perfect, it'll never come. I'll just be like, so I kind of like, I pushed through it. I ended up like getting some stuff done. I'm like, I actually like the way this dialogue came together, and I just am gonna brave it, and I'm gonna say that future Anthony is gonna have to figure out how to top some of the dialogue. That's all. Like, this character is going through other it's gonna be a full journey outside of just becoming a hero. It's becoming a person and friends and like forgiveness and like different things going on there. So there's a lot to be said other than just like how badass he is. That being said, this comic's gonna be so much fun, dude. I can't wait for issue 2. I think people are gonna really like it.
This one is like, I mean, like the first one I feel like does get a lot of like quick action in, though. I mean, like for an establishing issue, issue 1 still packs in some action, but it's mostly Spider-Man discovering his web shooter situation, so this one's definitely going to be fun because there's these fun costumed phantom possessed knights. There's Brian with his freaking megaton hammer that has a freaking power orb in it. Like, it's going to be some pretty cool stuff. Like,
yeah, dude, I can't wait. I think this issue is going to be so great. And I like that. Like the first one had, it was like, the origin story, but it kind of begged a lot of questions. Like, it's like, if you're reading that, you're like, okay, wait, what's going on? Like, like, I know there's a lot more to this story to unfold and uncover as it goes. In this issue, we're still just like getting into story more than like explaining a lot of stuff. But there are like these little fun nuggets of like lore and like backstory and stuff that I think is, it's going to be cool to explore. That being said, dude, I worked on that as much as I possibly could, but I just like this week, I was just like enraged by something. Like something I saw something on social media, and like I try not to take it personally when I see stuff, when I see anything on Twitter or, Facebook or whatever. I'm just like, yeah, this is not directed toward me. But this time, Steven, I know we don't get political, but I'm just going to say that Barack Obama attacked me directly.
He did.
And Steven, I don't appreciate this. Now, I'm being playful. I'm obviously not going to ever get political, and I honestly like Barack Obama. However, I will say this week he made a point to make fun of people who question things like which one would you rather be, a vampire or a werewolf? And I was like, okay, Barack Obama, you think that you were finished with that question when you were 7? Help me understand this, because there is so much to that question that a 7-year-old would not be able to understand. What were you doing at 7 years old? Because I have questions, and Steven and I are going to do a monster test right now and talk about them.
I think Barack Obama was Van Helsing when he was 7 years old. Like he's
I have some questions about that.
All.
We're gonna have to do like a monster test Obama edition and figure out like if he was just a BA hunter. But for this one, Steven, I want to do a monster test. Would you rather edition? Will you hit me with like that awesome like monster test theme?
It's the monster test. You gotta get your pencils out. We're gonna take this test and we're gonna discover what the monsters are all about. Cause we're not even in for time. I'm just kind of singing words as they come to mind. Cause it's the monster test.
Okay, monster test. Steven, we are going to ask the question: would you rather be a vampire or a werewolf? Now, I want to get into this a little bit, Steven, because you and I, we both love a good vampire. We talk about vampires all the time. I have a million vampire stories. I think about werewolves all the time, too. I've talked about werewolves a lot on our podcast. But I do not. I completely, 100%, like, I reject that this is a simple answer. It is not. And I do not believe that any 7-year-old, regardless of how quickly they might be willing to answer the question, actually has a legitimate answer for this question. So first of all, I want to know your answer.
Ooh, so just like the reason why I get in trouble with discussions and arguments with my wife is I have to like paint this whole picture to understand both sides of the paradigm.
That's good. So, here, because that's what I was going to do. So this is what we'll do. We'll switch sides. I'm just going to take werewolf. And that way, I will just say werewolf, and I'll give you my reasons, and then we can talk through what they might both be. I don't actually believe werewolf. I'm just going to argue that point because I don't care. But I will say, okay, Steven, I think that there are obviously pros and cons of both sides. Everyone's going to know this, right? So let's start right away with like the best of both worlds, right? Like let's start with, I mean, since you said it could be either, let's go. Let's say what I said. The best thing about being a werewolf is, what do you think?
So the best, I think personally, the biggest strength of werewolf is that you're still just a person for a majority of your life. Like you don't have to, you're immortal.
Yep.
But you're just you, and you have to lock this beast up once a month,
Once a month. I mean, honestly, I like you have a thing you have to deal with once a month. There's a movie called Ginger Snaps that demonstrates that that's something that women go through. That a lot of people, a huge percentage of people, go through every single month. They have a thing that happens to their body that they're not used to and doesn't actually it doesn't feel great for them, and they find a way to manage it and deal with it. And it's unfortunate sometimes, and you deal with it, and then you move on with your life. I don't see being a werewolf like it's so manageable as a werewolf. Like there's so many things you can do that it's just marginal. It's like the monster part of you is irrelevant unless you want it to. You can do whatever you want with it. I just love the fact that you can completely live an immortal human life, having both sun and nighttime whenever you want, with the exception of one night out of the month. So it's an endless array of experiences for as long as you want it. And not to mention another amazing benefit, you're not only like immortal, but basically impenetrable. Like there is nothing that can hurt you except for silver, like silver bullets are the only thing that can kill you, So, I mean, depending on the lore and what we're going with here, but you can eat whatever you want. Yeah. At any point,
You're human.
You're human. You get to live your life. You get to enjoy the entirety of your life. I'm trying to think. Okay. Otherwise, Steven, let's actually just the actual benefits of you're super strong. You have heightened senses. You're essentially an X-Man. You're a mutant. You get to do fun things. I imagine you have like heightened vision, heightened like sense of smell, heightened hearing,
hyper regeneration. You're Wolverine, basically.
You're Wolverine.
You're
Werewolverine.
You're Werewolverine. So.
Yeah. Who doesn't want to be Werewolverine, right? So, dude, it's just like, it's amazing. Except for the silver bones might kill him.
There's gonna be someone like, well, technically it's adamantium, and that's not really silver. And
you know what? Get me into Marvel. I'll say it's a silver like alloy of some sort. An advanced alloy of silver. So no, but okay. So there are all these things. Not to mention, if you just enjoy, maybe you just want to you want to let your wild side go once a month and just be a beast. Like, and we don't know, we haven't explored. Like, if we're talking about positives,
that just made me think of a really cool like book or story where like a dude like fights crime, right? And he's a werewolf. And what he does is like, let's say he like targets like mafias and big like crime syndicates. And all he does is he throws himself into the building when the moon's about to go full and just massacres entire like buildings worth of people. Like targets his power because the werewolf would be preoccupied the whole night killing all those people that he would just, not kill any.
It's like that scene, what movie was that? Bronx Tale. It was like that scene. There's this movie called A Bronx Tale that happened a million years ago. But there's this scene where these bikers go into this little diner and they're just like causing all this ruckus. And this guy, this like mob type guy, walks in. And he's just like, "I'm gonna ask you guys to get out of here. I want you to leave. And they like spit on him and there's like, F you, blah blah blah. And he goes, "Okay." And he goes over and he gets his friends, like the mob friends, and they close the door and they lock it. And he goes, "Now you can't leave." And then you just see all these like big bikers and their faces just drop and they just like get the crap beat out of it. It's just like crazy. But I just imagine that like, with a werewolf.
With a werewolf, yeah. That's what I'm saying. That'd be pretty crazy. Like if you like utilize the horror.
Yes. So I mean, so you get to let your inner beast out. You get to like, you're id, explore the world, do what you can. And of course, we're just talking about positives at this moment because let's stick with positives. That was the positives of werewolves. Steven, what's the best thing about being a vampire?
So vampire, though, you are better than everyone, and you know it, and you are just high class. Like you can be and like live like any way you want. Like you are immortal in the sense of you've lived through centuries. You've just embraced multiple cultures. Like you can take advantage of entire monetary systems and things like that. Like you can like you would have a lush life. Like there's no way you wouldn't. Like with the main we're not talking drawbacks yet, I would say feeding on human beings, for example, like obviously a drawback, but is it?
You're like biggest benefit, you get to eat people.
Basically, though, I mean, like, so like once again, I always go the vigilante route to justify my horrible actions, but like that's what I would do. I would just hunt bad people, and I'd be the Dexter vampire. Basically,
like, we've talked about that like our whole lives. Like I don't understand how that isn't more of a thing.
It's like it never gets covered really, like, or at least not like a nice enough. Yeah. It doesn't get covered enough, like. Yes. Like that's how you drink blood. What do you mean you don't know how? I don't know how to drink blood without being bad. It's like just murder bad people. You're good.
Terrible people out there. I mean, they probably taste gross. Like I don't know how disgusting their blood is, but you know what? Worth it. God. But yes, like you get to eat people. Steven, it's a huge benefit of being a vampire. I'm trying to think. Okay, other benefits of being a vampire. You don't have to look at your reflection ever. You don't have to worry about. You have no vanity issues because you're just always beautiful. I imagine we're gonna go with like you always look young. You always look young. You don't age at all. Maybe we haven't talked about that because like we think of werewolves as being kind of immortal or unkillable, but I don't know to what extent they age. Right?
Because they would probably age when they're in their human form, right? Like they would still over time.
That's interesting. Like probably. Since they're regenerating, it would probably be like a Wolverine-esque aging, where it's like a elongated, you know, like to a ridiculous amount, the degree. But I think vampires are legitimately immortal, you know, like forever young, forever who they are, you know, like stuck in that bot, you know, that, which could be another drawback, but we're sticking with, you know, if you
which was cool, by the way, an Interview with a Vampire, obviously, with Kirsten Dunst's character, like forever trapped as a child.
That was so crazy. Oh my, I haven't seen the series yet. Have you seen any of it?
No, I haven't.
No, yeah, there's a new series. I want to watch it. But dude, okay, other benefits for being a vampire, mostly unkillable, you know, with the exception of a few things. I think this is where we're gonna get into trouble, because like there are a lot of drawbacks though to being a vampire, because there's so many drawbacks. So I'm trying to think of a couple more really good benefits. So okay, obviously, in addition to being super powered or like immortal, you have the super strength, but you might also have mind powers. You might not be able
persuasion. I was going to say, depending on what tickles your fancy, you can control world politics at that point.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, like,
you can
how big your dreams are.
You can turn into a bat and or a wolf and control it and not be like a feral beast, perhaps, if we're sticking with the positives. So there are some positives. That's pretty cool. Climbing on walls, you're basically Spider-Man, you know, like you get to do all the cool stuff. Let's talk about the negative stuff real quick. Steven, obviously with vampires, first negative thing, you can't really eat stuff that isn't human blood, right?
Yeah, at all. So like, and I imagine if there's any humanity left in you, you're gonna miss pizza, right? Yeah, I mean, you're gonna miss that scrumptious, melty mozzarella. You know,
I will say though, we did skip out on the positive aspect of that though. Is you never have to worry about what you're gonna eat. You never have that argument.
You know,
if you're in a relationship with someone, you're like, look, we're two vampires. We know what we're having for dinner. That guy, you know, like
they just get pickier. It's like, no, I need like he needs to be like 6'4". We need to drain like a tall dude tonight. Like I need me some of that tall blood.
100%. If I were a vampire, I would just use Uber Eats to order my food, but I just delivery driver every time. And then it's like so you eat the delivery driver, you take his phone, or you take their phone, and then you look, and as they get orders, you just go to those places, and you're like, oh, I feel like I'm gonna eat the person who's eating Chinese food tonight. It's like,
they're gonna have like those aromatics, like their blood's gonna have a little pinch of ginger and like some maybe a splash of garlic. Not enough for me to go.
Not enough to hurt.
Not enough to hurt.
Just enough to itch.
And if they invite you in, are we going Lost Boys rules? Or if they invite you in,
I don't like. I like the idea. Okay, we have to stick with that. You have to be invited, right? But I'm gonna say, Steven, our culture has been fooled into having welcome mats. Like, okay, if you put the word "welcome" on your front door, that can be seen by a supernatural, otherworldly monster being as you are welcome to enter this house, right? I mean,
so here's what I'm thinking too. What happens, like, if let's say you get your familiar or somebody that you trust as a vampire, and they build like a pure glass house, right? And it says all are welcome in this home. Right. So, like, could you see sunlight? Like, would you be immune to sunlight within the confines of that glass house? Could you still?
I see what you're saying.
Are all rules mitigated?
Because of I think in the same way that your heart can be pierced in the house regardless. I think that.
So anything fatal, it's just the typical injury stuff that doesn't work.
That's like what I think.
Holy water and the garlic and
that's what I.
That's all Lost Boys really covered was the holy water and the garlic, right? So
and like, well, even the garlic. The guy. So in the movie Lost Boys, there's a bathtub full of garlic and
is it Dwayne that says it? Or
Dwayne. So I'm pretty sure, and he says, garlic don't work, boys. So he just says that. He's not like, haha, nothing works because we're immune. He doesn't do that. He's like, garlic doesn't work specifically. And then he's like, how about holy water, death breath? And he like throws the holy water.
And that does burn him.
And it does burn him. So I was like, okay. So maybe like as far as Lost Boys is concerned, those vampires just aren't allergic to garlic, I think. Which is kind of interesting.
That would be pretty cool too if like vampires had like regional allergies, basically. Like, like it's in Romania and Italy where they can't, consume or touch garlic, but like in America, it's like they can't have avocado, like especially in California, like they can't touch the avocados here or the bananas, too much potassium. But like, anyways. So yeah, vampires have a lot of weaknesses.
There are a lot of weaknesses.
No sunlight really sucks because like it's kind of like the just thinking about that. Like you can never see the sun again.
Yeah. Well, it's like I'm a pale person. I live in Florida and I'm still like I just don't go outside and I don't, like I go outside like as the sun is setting. I'm like the sun's going down. Let's get out there when it's not hot. But I'm traditionally I've never been like a beach goer, like can't wait to get out there and get a tan or whatever. I've never been that person. That being said, I still know that never getting out in the sun would eventually have some negative effect on me, like mentally.
Absolutely.
I think you get over it with the millennia of like, doing that. But that being said, it's just so interesting to go to sleep during the day and like have that be your schedule where like the only place you'd have any hope of like a social life with that sort of schedule would have to be like a bigger city, like downtown areas where there's a lot of stuff going on. You couldn't get the standard experience of just like going to a store, hanging out, like going to see a movie. Like think about that. Like you can't really go to a movie theater as a vampire most of the time. Like you can go like late night showings, you can get lucky, here and there, but like sometimes it's just it's you're limited and you only have so much time, which is really weird,
That's the whole push for fallback to stay the way it is every year is because vampires are like trying to push legislation like no, we want it to get dark at like 5:30, please do this. We need we want to go to Publix,
yes, I mean because if you think about it, right, vampires wake up as the sun's going down around 6:00, right? You don't wake up right in the morning and think, I want to go see a movie, right? Like you wake up, you're like, I want to have breakfast. So they have to go eat Steve or Stu or, like they have to go eat someone, find their breakfast. That's another thing, dude. Like the hunting and pecking of a vampire life is not for me. I do not want to wake up and hunt for my food. I am not interested. I can't be like vampire. Like you'd have to at some point harvest, like which is gross. Like starts feeling weird and not. I don't know. Like. Like before, like we were talking about how you can do like the vigilante type vampire and like go out and like kill, but like once you bring someone in your home and like contain them for their blood, not cool. Like so like you cross the line and you are now the bad guy no matter what, Like,
I mean it's gross, but like I guess when like virtual reality gets to that Matrix level of point, I mean that's maybe like the best route for vampires.
Oh man, can you imagine
to just put you in heaven like, basically?
And they're like, oh, this pain is so real. It's like just a vampire.
I'm so sorry, Greg.
Oh man, I was actually oh no, we should keep on that. Well, no, I'll just real quick. I was thinking like, it's so funny that vampires sleep during the day, but I was like, what if vampires just never sleep? But they're just so sick of everything. They're like, I can't be awake and alive all the time. So and that's why they lay in coffins. Because there's no other excuse for that. There's no reason to sleep in a coffin. Like, it doesn't make any sense. Like, if I'm a vampire, I block out the windows. I make sure their shutters are up or whatever. I block it out so I know I'm safe. And I sleep in a bed. I'm comfortable. Like, what are you doing?
Yeah, hey guy, I'm just taking your shutters off. No, you son of
a... Yes, I'm a good neighbor. I'm doing neighborly things, taking it off for you. Oh man. Okay. So, what are the drawbacks of being a werewolf?
So the main drawback I'm thinking of, aside from having to contain the beast once a month, like your chains breaking, that seems to be in every werewolf movie. Oh no, my chains broke that night. But if we go with some lore, is the deaths that you cause create a permanent ghoul that follows you around forever that like talks shit to you basically, like which
I like. Okay, so the only movie I've ever seen that in was American Werewolf in London, right? And Paris, of course. So like in my Table Scraps book, I created a ghoul character that's a physical embodiment of that thing. Because in those movies, it's just a ghost of the character that annoys you. But I was like, wouldn't it be really cool if instead of that, there was your food literally comes back to life and has the opportunity to kill you if it wants to? Like in the only, because I think that's where like that idea was, it's great and like freaking classic and amazing. But it's like, I like the idea that it can literally physically affect the character. And so then he has this thing hunting him and haunting him, and also so it gets to him like psychologically but also physically, so I like that idea. But
It's also kind of cool to think that werewolves create zombies.
that's exactly okay. So in my book, so what happens is the ghoul is like a conscious creature, but he realizes that he has to eat flesh in order to stay alive. And if he doesn't eat flesh, he slowly loses his consciousness and he becomes like a ravenous, crazy ghoul. And like first, his vision goes, and he kind of like cartoonishly starts seeing everything as food, like seeing people as food, and like all this stuff. And it gets,
That's
it gets
good.
funny. One of my favorite things about that story and that supernatural character that I was creating was like during the day, instead of being like, oh, he has to sleep during the day, the ghoul is a literal corpse, like a conscious corpse. He doesn't sleep, he just lays there, and his body can't move. So he just looks like he is a dead body during the day, and then at night he's reanimated like a gargoyle.
He's Bernie.
Yeah.
He's weak.
Yeah. So, and I love that idea. It creates a lot of like fun potential for comedy and stuff. But yeah, dude. So the werewolf creates these ghosts or ghouls or what that follow them and kind of like haunt them and make them feel bad about all of their carnivorous lunar activities.
Transgressions, yeah.
So not to mention a lot of classic werewolf lore literature is like that you attack the thing that you love the most. You go after that which you love. So that your beast, if you are close to anyone, is going to go after that person or that those
So
people.
crazy.
So if you have a family, no matter how much you try to lock yourself away, that once a month you want to murder them, and that is not gonna suit you well. It's gonna end poorly. So I imagine that would, not that I'm an expert at relationships, but I imagine that would cause some trouble. But yeah, dude. So I'm trying. Okay, any other big drawbacks that we haven't mentioned about werewolves? I think that's really the main one. Is like
I think that's it, and I think ultimately that's why werewolves really do have the edge, right? I mean,
I think they have the edge too. I think now I will say there are like some like caveats, little provisos. There are these little things. So if there are like ifs, like if this then this, like if werewolves aren't immortal, vampires probably win. Like, because I like a lot of people might say like, they have a normal human life, they just turn into a werewolf and they're unkillable. So like if your life isn't lengthened at all, if you just have a normal standard human life except for you turn into a werewolf and like you are impenetrable or and like silver is your only weakness, but you're gonna die like in the same amount, like 60 years or whatever, I'd say vampire beats it.
Yeah, because then werewolf does just become more of a curse than it does a blessing at all. There's really no benefit besides not having to worry about biting the bullet.
Exactly.
Like the only way you're gonna die is if of old age eventually. As a werewolf,
and like
basically.
It would be cool. It would still be cool. You could still be Werewolverine. You still have like I imagine the same like I have powers, but like at the same time, it becomes more of a burden because you have a limited amount of time, and now you know that this amount of it is spent worrying about being a werewolf. It still does have an edge with like how much free time you have and how much you can do in that free time. Although I would say that like there is something to being a vampire where you need to drink the blood of people. Like at some point you're like, I have like my hands are tied. I have to go kill that bad guy. Like I have to go kill that bad. Like there's nothing I can do.
Well, let's hope vampires are more like snakes or gators, where they feast like like once every now and then. Like you drink one dude like a month and you're good. Like,
that's what, like when you're speaking of like snakes, in the table scraps, the vampire in that, like there are two types of vampires, and like one of them just keeps eating hearts. Like that's what they do. They don't, they go right for. They are the owl from the Tootsie Pop commercial. Like they go right for the heart.
1, 2, 3.
Yeah, they go right for the heart. And what happens is, since they don't drain all of the blood from the body gets reanimated as this other thing that's trying to basically refill their blood source. So they're feeding, so they become these ghoulish like zombie vampire monsters. But it's pretty funny. The reason I brought it up is the main vampire, who's just like basically chugging down hearts, is just like becomes massive, like just has this like massive look to her from just eating and not digesting this properly, and then eventually it like kind of supernaturally digests into her, but you can just see this like Yo,
like she did this wrong, and like it's like a created like an abomination basically.
Yeah. But I don't know, dude. So I'm gonna say, of the two, if I like, depending on the immortality or like the lifespan of the werewolf, I'm gonna go with werewolf. What do you think?
I think so too. I think werewolf just wins because of the least amount of like drawbacks. Like vampires gain so many strengths, but like no suns. I mean, there's a lot of ways to kill a vampire. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Well, I mean, not to mention if we're going like Interview with the Vampire, and you can't cut your hair or anything, like if you can't change your features, imagine that was the day you had an extra long nose hair, right?
Oh,
like you got bit, or like that was the
you better get good at charming is all I'm saying. Like that's basically you live in a Snapchat filter. Like you basically have to constantly filter the way you look to everybody.
Oh man, speaking of that, like I cut my hair too short last time, so like I hate, like I've been like this whole like last month I've been just hating the way I look, right? Like yeah, I'm sure, like I mean, you've been growing your hair, so you've looked great for a while, but like for those of us,
there was definitely a period,
but like for those of us who cut our hair or like get our hair cut, you know, like sometimes you just get a bad haircut, or you're just like, I'm not feeling it right now, it has to grow out or has to do it, you know. This time I cut it too short, and I was just like, I immediately hated it. I was just like, oh no. And I've only done that like twice since I started cutting my own hair, and like this was a bad one. And like this time, where it's like over here, like my hair's just like sticking up because like I cut it too short on one side, and I was like, I can't do anything about it. And it's not. What do I do? And it's just like
I just have to exist like this.
I just have to look like this now. So if I got bit by a vampire right now, I'd just be like, I'm the worst. Like I'm going like, what is this? What is this garbage?
And how it would work out is you'd be like, Steven, I'm a vampire. Dude, I got werewolf, bro. I got werewolf. I'll get to be your best friend for like 120 years, then I'm gone. And then you're going to still look like that.
You're going to look like that the whole time. The whole time, Anthony. Steven, get me a steak. Get me a steak. Oh man. But I think we cracked this case. You know, Steven, I will forgive Obama this time, but like if he comes at werewolves or monsters again, or like attacks people who
someone's just like randomly in the crowd. So, Mr. Obama, have you ever played Mega Man X? I hate that game. What?
Only children play video games. Get out of my life, Obama. You and Comcast. Yeah. It's so funny. I hope everyone can appreciate what we're actually talking about here, and the fact that it isn't about Obama at all.
At all. We just wanted to talk about monsters.
Yeah, we just want to talk about monsters. But he did, if you look it up, he did mention, because of this guy who sucks or whatever. It was some obnoxious guy was talking about vampires and werewolves, and he was like, only young, stupid people do that. And I was like, no. Nay, I say, nay, Obama. But I have had a weird week. But Steven, something I've been doing this week. So I've been dealing with this breakup. You know, been going through that, and it's been weird. It's been tough. It's nice to start like writing and trying to like get back into being productive, and like I'm spending more time with Atlas, which is nice. You know, more like just like one-on-one time.
Yeah, yeah,
nice. But I'm just like, I'll tell you, Steven, and I'll give like a quick content warning for people in my life who are related to me by blood. Just don't watch this part. It's gonna be like 15 seconds of me saying just inappropriate things. Steven, okay. I hope you shut it off. Thank you for watching, family members. Anyway, Steven, there are butts everywhere. Just butts all over the place. Just butts, boobs, like the beautiful people all over the world. I don't like it. I'm not a fan of it anymore. I just don't like being human. I don't want to deal with it. I want none of it. I'm not flirting with anyone. I quit. I'm out of the game. I don't want it. I'm never gonna do it. I'm not looking at them. Unless, Steven, they're a robot. And Steven, I'll tell you, I lucked / like backwards stumbled into this really silly situation on Snapchat that I didn't realize was a thing, and it's cracking me up, and I can't stop talking about it or thinking about it, and so I'm going to tell you about it. So we're going to do a really quick kind of like mini Anthony Dates Robots.
Anthony Dates Robots.
Steven. Okay. So I had Snapchat. My ex-girlfriend and I would snap each other like all day, like randomly every day, and just be like, just talk to each other. And she was the only person I talked to on Snapchat. Like, I got to the point where I was like, now I have Snapchat on my phone and I'm not using it for anything. And I was like, I was keeping it for a while because I was like, I kind of want to talk to her, but it also hurts my feelings to think about it, because like it was a thing that we did. And I was like, do I delete it? I don't know what to do. And then, it's like, we're still kind of like talking sometimes. She has some of my stuff at the house still and I have to get it and we're figuring it out. But Steven, I saw an alert pop up for Snapchat and I was like, what is this? And I looked and it was like, you have so-and-so followed you. And I was like, so-and-so? I love so-and-so. I've never met this person or seen them in my life. I can't wait to hear about their life, So I followed so-and-so and I was just like, I think their name is Christy. I don't know. It's a robot. So I look at this person, Steven, and I just add them back as I do on Twitter or anywhere else where, robots are, roam. I follow them and they instantly send me a message and it's a video. It's a video of them just like kissing the kid, like making kissy faces at the camera and going, hello, hi, I'm gonna go out tonight. And then just like stopping. And I was like, you love me. This is for me. This is a video just for me.
You specifically thought of me when you filmed this non-generic video.
Not generic at all. It was directed in my direction. It was like aimed Cupid's arrow right at my heart. Got me. And I was just like, I'm in. So I watched this video and then she sends another one and it's in the bathroom and I was like, she's gonna show me poop, It's just like not what happened. And like so she's like, like kind of like playing with her shirt and she's like, taking it down and I was like, oh, this is free pornographic material. I was like, I didn't even consider that this was an option. This is crazy. Like this is not the case in Twitter. Like on Twitter, when a robot scammer situation messages you, occasionally they'll send a picture and it's like, here's a picture of some like cleavage, or whatever. This is just like a video of some woman kind of like slowly like strip teasing or whatever. And I'm like, this is interesting. I don't know. What do I do with this information? So I'm like, okay, I'm gonna message her. So I start like saying like silly things and being silly. I'm like, haha, being my like Twitter. I'm like, we're gonna do Anthony Dates Robots somehow with this. So she sends me her OnlyFans account. She's like, I'm on OnlyFans. I was like, I get it, but you and I are beyond OnlyFans. Like we have a real relationship.
I'm your only fan. I mean,
yeah. I was like, I don't know if you know this, but I like you are my only fan, and I like this. Let's keep it here. So like we have this very serious relationship building. She and I, so-and-so and I. So Steven, the following morning, Steven, she sends me a video, and she looks, dare I say, like a different human person.
Almost like she just found videos online and didn't even record them herself. What
impossible. I think
there's no way she would do that to you.
Why would she do that? Why would anyone do that to me? I mean, they're directed directly at my heart, right? Like specifically at me. So I was like, how did you do that? So I messaged her and I was like, how did you do this? How are you looking like different people? Like, how did you?
Are you a shapeshifter?
That's what I'm saying. I was like, are you a shapeshifter? Can you teach me? Are you wearing another person's skin? Where did you get this skin? How much skin do you have? And I'm just like, I'm so interested in this. And then she sends me more videos with less clothing. And I'm like, I have all of the reason in the world to just keep doing this.
I'm not being punished for my jargon. I was like, yes.
I was like, I'm essentially just making jokes to myself. It's making me laugh, and I'm getting these random free videos of this person.
And like softcore porn is just being hand delivered to you. You're not even doing anything.
I'm doing nothing.
I didn't even have to type in like the genres. Like
I did nothing. The internet was just like, we know what you need, and I was like, yes, you do. Apparently, you see how often my eyes are like unfortunately darting around the universe, hoping to see butts. I'm like, I don't want this. I don't want it. I want to quit. I'm out of the game. Oh man. So she sends me another OnlyFans link, and I'm like, fool me once. Like I'm not gonna Like I was like, look, I know what's going on here.
Fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, son of a bitch, I'm in.
So I clicked that link. I gave her my money. No, I have not. Just so everyone knows, I'm never going to do that. However, I will say. So then today was day 3. She wore another skin. She put on another skin. I was like, how are you Doctor Whoing? Are you a Time Lord? What is happening?
Listen, Raven Darkholm, why don't you just need to calm down and show me the blue skin? At least let me see the
skin. We all want to see.
I want to see that.
Mystique is the sexiest of X-Men. We all know it. We all know that's the one that everyone wants. It just makes the most sense, Steven. It makes the most sense. So it's just an ongoing thing. I've been posting about it on Twitter. I post like screenshots of what I'm saying versus like I've been trying to only save the like video pictures that are like the most tasteful. Like none of them have been like full nudity, like NC-17, like pornographic. But I'm gonna get there. We're gonna break through the break on through the.
We're gonna break that barrier.
No, it's so weird. But it's been interesting. I'm not sure, but the only thing about like doing this with like on Snapchat is I can't share, like I can't make a book of those the way I would or can and will of the Twitter ones. Like I have like dialogue that I can share from the Twitter conversations where it's like going back and forth and it's interesting and intriguing, and like they're writing and I'm writing. This is more just like general Twitter joking, like people find it funny. Thankfully I find it funny, but I can't imagine it won't translate well to any other medium. It's such a specific joke.
For sure. Like, yeah, it's like a 7-layer, meme basically.
Yeah, exactly.
It would require way too much explanation for you to appreciate it. And by the time you're done hearing the explanation, you don't even want to laugh.
Don't want to laugh. But dude, I don't know. So like I've been doing that. I haven't been getting as many bots on Twitter lately. I don't know what's going on. I know it's not Twitter. I know Twitter's not fixed because I see other people getting bots and scammers. I think the bots are to a place where like they know that my heart's not ready. I think that they're like, he's not dating. He's not going to do this. He's not interested. And we're going to respect his boundaries and consent. And we're not going to jump in there. I am welcoming you at this point. Jump in my DMs. Talk to me. Get weird. And I miss you. I miss you.
Please, what I would do do you have a WhatsApp at this
moment? Oh my gosh. No, my kingdom for a Gambian scammer. Like get in there. Hop in my, like, like I miss it. I want back in. I want one more camera. I got something left in me. No, it's but yeah. Otherwise, dead inside, Steven. Just my heart is dead. I am just
dead inside. Every single one of us.
But it's been weird. It's like I have been going through some stuff. But honestly, I feel like I'm making a lot of progress. I'm getting things done, and I feel like our books are good, are going to start jumping forward in our progression soon. I think like we're going to start making some headway, especially now that you have internet. We can start shipping off the Kickstarter rewards.
I'm so excited for that.
A couple of people who have bought books through our website, we can finally ship off to them. We also owe who was it, Chiziolo or CD? We owe a couple of people some rewards from winning our like spinning thing.
Yeah, from the episode 100.
Yes. Yeah, we did a giveaway and we didn't get to give stuff away. Well, a couple of people just never got back to us. And then when they did, we were like, we have no internet and there's a hurricane. I'm sorry, but we're definitely going to get back to you. If you backed our Kickstarter, we're definitely going to be doing that.
Your priority numero uno. And
absolutely. So speaking of that, Steven, what are we doing this week?
This week, I'm going to start shipping stuff. I'm going to start roughing stuff, and I'm going to finish that cover.
Yes, this week I'm going to fall in love with a robot, Steven. I'm going to get on Snapchat. I'm going to be like, show me your underwear. And I'm no, this week I'm going to, okay, Steven, I got my weeks mixed up last week. This week, literally tomorrow, is Atlas's first day going to that sports thing. So I'm going to do that. But then I'm going to have all of Wednesday night and Thursday all day and night to get stuff done. I'm going to do my best to finish writing issue 2. Like, I'm going to do my best. I don't know if I'm going to do it. I'm going to say I will. I'm going for it for sure. Like, I'm going to go all in this week. I haven't had time in literally a month. So I'm going all in this week. I'm gonna freaking do it. So my priorities this week are, I'm gonna send you all of the information for shipping.
Awesome.
All the information. I'm gonna make a PDF of Deathless so we can ship off all the digital rewards, and I'm going to finish writing issue 2 of Deathless. Those are my
that's a big week, but we got to get this stuff done because Christmas is around the corner. So
yeah, dude, and everyone's getting comics. Everyone's getting Deathless. I have no money.
You get a comic. You get a comic.
I got to the point like I had like this chunk of money, and I was like, I spent it all on Christmas for Atlas and my parents, and I was just like, I'm poor now again. Woohoo! How'd that happen? It just happens, you know. But it's worth it. He's gonna have a good Christmas, and I'm so excited for it. But thank you all for listening. Thank you for watching. If you're only listening on one of the various podcasting apps, thank you, and thank you, JD, for reminding me every week. We really appreciate you. But thank you all for watching. Just subscribe to our podcast on YouTube if you can. It really does make all the difference. We recently hit 1,000 subscribers, dude. I'm still so excited about that. We just need 1 million more watch hours. So that's our next goal, is to get like 1 billion watch hours. But you know what? Like, I'm glad anyone's watching it all. I truly appreciate all of you. I'm so thankful for you. We're both so freaking thankful to be doing this. Steven, I love you, and thank you for doing this with me every single week.
Absolutely, dude. I love you too, and I'm glad to be back in the full action. It's awesome.
Heck yeah, dude. I'm glad we got to cancel that other podcast. I feel like it was niche. Like not that many people wanted to hate CenturyLink with us. I was in it to win it. Like, I couldn't stop hating them. I got it. I have it in my...
I mean, we got to episode 222 on that podcast.
Yeah, we just kept going. I mean, that's what happens when you record 3 a day. It's just
pure hate. And when you're spitting pure vitriol, like...
Welcome to the Hatrix. That's pretty much what the internet is now, right? Just like the Hatrix has you. But,
I hate to invoke his name, but I'm just imagining A. Jones, basically that guy, but just like hating on CenturyLink. It's a demon, and it comes in and takes away your internet, and you can't do anything about it. Channeling that.
That's the worst.
That's why the podcast didn't do too well.
That's why. It's because, I mean, Steven went full J. Jonah Jameson on that. He is our J. Jonah Jameson. That's terrible. And so
isn't
funny,
it? Because J. Jonah is so much cooler.
Yeah, it is true. But thank you all. You're all amazing. And tell everyone you've ever met in your entire life, including your friends, loved ones, enemies, exes, children. Like, tell them all to subscribe to our podcast, because it does help. But otherwise, all of our links are below in the description. We appreciate the heck out of you. Thank you for joining us. I'm Anthony.
And I'm Stevie Wildcard.
This has been episode 118 of We Have Issues. We'll see you next time.
We're actually a pretty old vampire in 118.
That's true. We're 118 years old. Steven, what do you think we would be like? You know what we wouldn't be doing? We wouldn't be attending high school, Steven. We wouldn't be attending high school.
We wouldn't be.
There's no chance. There's nothing. If you told me right now, like I thought that Drew Barrymore was too old to go to high school. I'm not going if I'm 118. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not. There's no like.
And I'm definitely not doing the whole like brooding thing towards other high schoolers. Like,
you're not gonna be like, if you're identifying with a high schooler when you're 118 years old, something's wrong. Like, you drank the wrong blood. Like, you made a mistake.
What was even the reasoning for them to continue to go to school at that point?
They're like, we have to blend in. Like, no, you don't. You just don't. Like, what do you do?
Wait, you just go to high school forever?
Like, okay, let me tell you a little thing. Like, you go outside, and if someone recognizes you, you know what you do? Same thing Superman does when someone says, hey, aren't you Clark Kent? He throws them in the sun, or he eats them. That's what Superman does. That's how it works.
He just does it so fast you never see it happen. But like, he's murdered a lot of people.
So many people. Oh, they had a heart attack. No, I literally shook them so hard because I'm a vampire and I'm not strong. Like, I can
just like lightning fast. Like,
just lightning fast.
They say, can you shaken to death by a vampire? But not even in like a violent back and forth. Like, this is so weird.
I mean, we didn't get into like the sexual preferences / like benefits of being a vampire or werewolf, because there are some, and like, I didn't want to get into it, but they exist. I'm just gonna say this: that if you can shake a person to death, you can do a lot of stuff with those quick hands. You can do a lot of stuff. Your body has motions and like, you can do some stuff. Not to mention, but the con, like conversely, like, what if you're dead. You have no running blood, right? Like, can you? Are things...
Is he standing attention,
or
like,
is he always because of rigor mortis?
I just
if your erection lasts more than 118 years, see a physician. Like,
see a physician to apply a stake directly to the heart. Like,
I mean,
could you imagine? Like, that's why they wear such like flowing cloaks and stuff, because they just constantly pitching a or the alternative is that every vampire has a micro penis. That's the other alternative.
Although I will say there was the movie, it'll come to me. Vampire in Brooklyn. They literally did the opposite thing, which is so funny and stupid. But it's so funny. But have you ever seen Vampire in Brooklyn with Eddie Murphy?
I have, but it's been so many years.
Okay,
dude.
so like at the end of the movie, this guy becomes a vampire and his penis grows, and he's like, oh, and he's just like, oh, this happens when you become a vampire. I'm like, why? What are you talking about? Like, I guess all your blood in your body goes
all
there?
Your blood goes to there for some reason.
like, oh my god,
we preserve the one organ to rule us all.
This is so weird. But what if, I mean, like, we didn't talk about maybe werewolves all have red rockets, Steven, or some version of that. The other side of that is the several, you know, like 6 to 12 nipples or whatever. You know, like
werewolf nipples.
You so many werewolves.
Like, you go to like wash yourself with the shower, and instinct just kicks in. You just like start like no, I don't want to do that.
Who am I? Yeah,
just some Irish Spring. Irish Spring is fine.